What is next from Tango Gameworks? Hellblade 2 is going to make Hellblade look like an indie game. Do you want to see Scalebound come back? And you're soon going to be able to customize the capture button on your Xbox Series controller. Welcome back to another video, guys. If you enjoy daily content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. So Ghostwire Tokyo from Tango Gameworks, an Xbox Game Studio developer, arrives next month, March 25th, exclusive to the PlayStation 5 and PC. Now, obviously, this is a timed exclusive. I mean, Tango is now owned by Xbox, and this is a deal that was created before the Bethesda acquisition. So this will be making its way over to Xbox probably a year after its releasing onto Xbox Game Pass, so there is that plus if you wait and you're subscribed to Game Pass. But I'll be honest, after watching the gameplay reveal last week when they showed it off, this is definitely a game I'm extremely excited to play. It looks like it is a ton of fun. When they showed off Deathloop, that game looked good as well. As we know, that was another timed exclusive game owned by Xbox, but timed exclusive to PlayStation, and here is the second one. But between the two, I think I may be more excited here for Ghostwire Tokyo, so waiting a year to play this on Xbox will be a little bit harder. Now, besides Ghostwire Tokyo, it's always interesting to think on what is going to be next for Tango Gameworks. As we know, this next game is going to be an Xbox ecosystem exclusive game coming to Game Pass day one. And Tango Gameworks kind of teases this, saying something for Xbox most likely when asked about what is next for the studio. And on top of that, they have commented on working with Xbox and what's their studio development cycle and everything has been like since they've been acquired by Microsoft. And here is what they say: working with Xbox has been really smooth, although that part has been mostly handled by Mikami. Having Mikami at the top of Tango to make decisions that are sometimes difficult just makes things really smooth. And that was a quote from Kenji Kimura, who is leading Ghostwire Tokyo, really indicating that Xbox has been hands-off and staying true to what they said after this acquisition, that they are going to allow these studios to continue to work the way that they have been working before the acquisition. They're just there to provide resources, money, technology, all that type of stuff that these studios wouldn't have had before being acquired by Microsoft. I mean, we've seen this play out already with a game like Psychonauts 2 and how much that helped the development of that game and made it bigger and better in scope, and it made it the game that it was as a Game of the Year contender. Now, a lot of people, when they think of Tango Gameworks, they think of the evil within, a survival horror game, a really well done survival horror game. And Shinji Mikami, who previously was at Capcom, he left Capcom to make Tango Gameworks, so they have just really good foundation when it comes to the survival horror game. I mean, he was one of the people responsible for Resident Evil, so transferring that to a different style of survival horror game makes a ton of sense. But I think people are looking if The Evil Within 3 is going to be the next game on the slate for Tango Gameworks, but it doesn't seem like that is going to be the case. As Mikami has this to say: survival horror is at the low end of the wave right now, so a surfer wouldn't go out there. It's probably just best to wait for the bigger wave until the time when there is a big enough survival horror game that's much more well accepted. I would love to see The Evil Within 3. I played the first one. I still need to get to the second one, so it'd be cool just to see that series continue, and having a top tier survival horror game within Xbox Game Pass and Xbox Game Studios, I think, is an important thing to have. But if they're going to be developing a new IP, and depending on how Ghostwire Tokyo pans out, this could be just another great thing within the Xbox Game Studios ecosystem and the Xbox Game Studios games to kind of flesh out the entire portfolio. Okay, moving over here to Hellblade 2. Now, Hellblade 2, we saw the first trailer, I believe it was at the Game Awards, the first gameplay trailer, and graphically looked just absolutely stunning. Everything looked very realistic, and we know that's what they're going for with the sequel to Hellblade. Now, Tamim Antoniadis, who is the creative director at Ninja Theory, commented on Hellblade 2 and kind of what we can expect and what they're going for. And one of the most interesting things he said here is that he thinks Hellblade 2 will make Hellblade look like an indie game, which to me makes sense. I mean, you look at Hellblade, that was pretty much an indie game when it was first coming out, from a studio that was not owned by Microsoft and obviously didn't have all the resources that Microsoft is able to provide them. So now they have all this money, resource, and technology to go out and do what they want to do with the scanning of textures and just making everything look as lifelike as possible. In fact, he talks about this, about the approach that they're doing of trying to capture reality. So there are 40 locations in Iceland that were scouted and narrowed down and then scanned into the game's engine as is, and level designers weren't allowed to invent new pathways or structures. On top of that, real costumes were made and scanned, the textures built from scanning pieces of ancient material. So they've been doing this crazy scanning stuff, trying to put it exactly into the game, and we saw a video of them showing off how they did that when they were, I believe, talking about Project Mara. So Hellblade and Ninja Theory, this is going to be a studio that is kind of like filling that hole for the people that want that, I believe, like very cinematic style, I guess you could say Sony style game going forward. And what we're hearing from how they're doing it and what we saw with that initial trailer is definitely something to be very excited about. Now, they also talk about the scope, the story of the game, and how this is going to be different in the sense that Hellblade 1 was really focused on Senua's personal journey with mental illness and psychosis and all that type of stuff, whereas this one is going to be more focused on like an overarching kind of religion and society link to psychotic episodes, where it says here, psychosis is defined as having hallucinations and beliefs that aren't grounded in reality. You can apply that to a lot of things, a lot of beliefs, but it should only be classed as an illness if it impedes your life in some way. Otherwise, it's just a different way of thinking. Hellblade 2 moves away from this being a personal affliction of Senua and more about how a person like that can change the world. So we're going to get a different perspective from Senua, and the way that the game is told is probably going to be bigger, kind of from different angles and not just really through her mind. So this will be very interesting. I mean, we don't know when this game is coming out, but it looks like they're getting closer and closer to having it completed. And I mean, I think this is going to be such a showcase for Xbox Game Studios and the Xbox Series X and S. All right, and to finish things off today, Scalebound and Platinum is back in the news. I mean, this is about the second time we've talked about Platinum games recently, and it's because firstly, Phil Spencer had sent them some flowers, and it said from Microsoft Gaming CEO Phil Spencer, and I believe it was to welcome them to their new office. And then Hideki Kamiya took a picture of those flowers, tweeted it out, and kind of implied that Xbox and Platinum Games should work together again. Now, we know the debacle of Scalebound, that this was a game that was really, I think, would have been a huge console seller for the Xbox One. They were very public about it, and then obviously didn't come through, got canceled, and the game never came out. But from what they first showed off with Scalebound, a lot of people were excited. I mean, I am still sad to this day that they were never able to complete this game. Now, in an interview with IGN Japan, Platinum's president Atsushi Inaba talked about the relationship with Xbox and with Scalebound, and he has this to say: Kamiya has always wanted to do Scalebound, so we'd like to have a proper discussion with Microsoft. And then Kamiya went on to add, saying, we did a lot of work on it, and it's no use Microsoft keeping the game in its current form, so we'd like to do something about it. Phil, let's do it together. So it sounds like the game has a lot to already start and work off of if they were deciding to kind of bring back this game and then release it. I personally think if they were to do this, it would be a great idea. Now, there's definitely some reservation of working with Platinum because of what happened previously. And then I even think about something like Bayonetta 3, which has been in the works for such a long time, and we keep getting information that's being pushed back and pushed back, or that's almost ready, and then we just haven't seen anything. Now, there is a Nintendo Direct today, so hey, maybe they will show more on Bayonetta 3. But Platinum obviously has huge ambitions, and it takes them a while to make these games, and sometimes it falls through, as it did with Scalebound. And I mean, Platinum went ahead and kind of admitted that it was pretty much their fault that Scalebound failed, why it didn't get released. And now this was a video on Cutscene's YouTube channel that was published back in November, and Kamiya explained what happened, saying, I loved fantasy world since I was a child. I've always wanted to make something around that theme. This is how I thought of a world revolving around a young man fighting together with a dragon. However, it was a big challenge for Platinum Games. We were working in an environment we weren't used to. We were developing it on the Unreal Engine. We also lacked the necessary know-how to build games based on online features. The hurdles we had to overcome were very very big. We weren't experienced enough and we couldn't go over the wall, leading to what happened in the end. I'm sorry to the players who looked forward to it, and moreover, I'm sorry to Microsoft who had placed their trust in us as a business partner. I want to apologize both as a creator and as a member of Platinum Games. So, I mean, hey, they go ahead, they explain what happened, they're taking the fault for what happened with Scalebound, and this was a number of years ago. So between then and now, they've definitely gained a ton of experience. Microsoft, Xbox have also gained a ton of experience in how to handle these types of deals, because I'm sure they had some fault in what fell apart with this entire game. And going forward today, we look at how Xbox Game Studios has evolved. We look at the technology with Xbox, and with the increased experience of Platinum Games, it could end up working, especially if they have a great base foundation for Scalebound. I would still love to see this game come to fruition because the concept of it looked awesome. The character designs, everything that they showed off looked like a ton of fun. And this, I think, would be a huge hit and just an insane hype if they came out during a show or something and they showed off a revamped trailer of Scalebound. Now, obviously, what they also learned from this thing was they can't go public too soon because there will be a ton of fallout. So it won't be for a very long time if they ever decide to work together, I think, before they showed off the game again, because I don't think they would want to make that mistake. But hey, I'm hoping for it. Now, quickly, I want to show you the Xbox share button and how this is adjusting. So within the Alpha Skip Ahead program, this is currently available, and you're gonna now be able to customize the Xbox share button. So the share button right now, if you click it, screenshot, you hold it, you can capture the video. Now within the accessories app where you can remap the buttons on your Xbox controller, there is an option here that is going to be available for the share button, which will allow you to remap it to open the Xbox guide, send a message, search, launch an app or game, play or pause media, TV volume up, down, or mute, view achievements, friends or party, access quick settings, or toggle night mode, color filters, narrator, or magnifier. Now, this makes a lot of sense because you can still take screenshots and videos if you hit the Nexus button and then hit like X or Y, depending on what you want to do. So you don't actually need to utilize this button for that feature. I like it for that feature. I use it all the time, but hey, there may be better ways to utilize it for some people. So I'm all for this ability and just opening up the way that you can use your Xbox Series controller. Anyways, guys, that's it for me. Let me know what you want to see from Tango Gameworks next. And are you excited for Ghostwire Tokyo? Are you excited for Hellblade 2 and the direction they're going with the game? Do you want to see Scalebound come back? And what do you think about the ability to customize the capture button on your Xbox controller? If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that thumbs up button. Thank you guys all for watching. You liked what you saw throughout this video and you're new here, consider subscribing, and I'll catch you in the next video.
We'll be right back.